Okay, hi there grade 10s. This is the second lesson for our Unit 2 trigonometry unit, and we're still dealing with tan. So if you remember from last lesson, we used tan or tangent to determine the size of a missing angle in a right triangle. So remember, every triangle we're dealing with in this unit has the right triangle right here, okay? Just a little recap of what we did the first lesson. Tan of an angle, and usually for if we're talking about like angle A, for example, we'd put this, okay? Tan of angle A. Now, we don't have letters in this triangle. Usually I have each vertex labeled, so I'll just do that right now. Let's say we have this triangle ABC, and I ask you, what is the tangent of angle A? We know that tan is always going to be the opposite side over the adjacent side of angle A. So what we do is we go to angle A, and that's kind of our eyeball. I'm putting eyelashes there because this is where we're looking from. So from angle A, I need to find the opposite side, and the opposite side is the one all the way across or opposite the angle. And then it's divided by the adjacent side. Now, adjacent means beside. So it's either this line right beside the angle or this line right beside the angle. But just remember that this one right here, the 17, is actually the hypotenuse because it's opposite of the right angle. So if this is the hypotenuse, this one has to be the adjacent. So 15. Then if I said to find the angle, what we do to find an angle of tan, remember I always said we have to find the tan minus 1 button. So it's actually the little thing above the tan button. So on my calculator, I go shift tan. So I see that tan minus 1 pop up. Open up the bracket, and I want 8 divided by 15. So I go 8 divided by 15, close the bracket, equals, and I get that the angle is about 28.07 degrees. I'll round up to 28.1 degrees, okay? So that's just a little recap of how we found missing angles. In this lesson, we will continue to use tan, but now we will find the length of a side. So we're not finding an angle anymore. We're finding the actual length of a missing side. And you're given an angle. So in this triangle, calculate the length of the indicated side and round to 1 decimal place. So in this triangle, we see we have our right angle right here. This length is 13. This angle is 60 degrees, and this X is what we're looking for. That's our question mark, okay? So I'm just going to label this triangle again. I just find that easier when I have letters labeled at each corner. So I am going to set up my formula here. So I am going to write tan of angle A, and I'm writing angle A. I'm choosing A because that's where the angle is that I know. I'm not going to write tan of angle B because I don't know what angle B is. That's not helping me at all. I'm going to choose the letter that corresponds with the angle that I know. So tan of angle A is opposite over adjacent. And that's essentially our formula. And now we plug in what we know. So I actually know what angle A is. Angle A is 60. So I'm actually replacing angle A with 60. Okay, see what I did there? So angle A gets replaced with 60 because A is 60 degrees. Equals. Now, the opposite side of angle A, that's our X. That's our unknown. Okay, so I just leave it as an X. And then my adjacent side, it's not this guy because that's the hypotenuse, so it's the 13. Okay, so there's our formula. And now we have to solve for X. I have to get X to be all by itself. So X is being divided by 13. So how we undo a division of 13 is by multiplying by 13 because it cancels them out. But we have to be fair because what we do to one side, we have to also do to the other side. So I am multiplying both sides by 13 here. So in this case, when you're looking for the missing side, when you already have the angle, you do not need to press shift. You just press tan. Okay, we only press the shift tan when we're looking for an angle. Here we already have the angle. We're just looking for a side. So when that's the case, you go tan. And it's tan of 60 equals, But then we have to multiply that by 13 now. And when you do that, you get an answer of 22.51666. I want it rounded to one decimal place. 22.5. And the unit of the other side length is centimeters, so we'll use that as well. And there you go. You found the missing side. All right, let's try another one here. Okay, so again, I don't have my triangle labeled. You can label it however you want. I'm choosing ABC. You can do DEF, doesn't matter. Okay, so in this one, you always start with tan of the angle you know. And I know that this angle right here is 59, which is with B. Okay, so I'm going to write B down this time. Equals opposite over adjacent. Okay, but I know what angle B is. I know that angle B actually equals 59 degrees. So I write that in. Now, looking from angle B, this is like my eyeball. I have to put the opposite side on top. So the opposite side is the 10. And then the adjacent side, the one right beside my angle, is X. Okay, so in this case, so up here, X was on top, and we had to get rid of the 13 on the bottom. So we just multiplied by 13, easy peasy. Here it's a little bit different because the X is on the bottom. Okay, so what we do in this case, it's kind of a little shortcut. All we do in this case is we can just flip those two spots. Okay, the X is allowed to go up here, and the tan of 59 is allowed to go under. Okay, so if I do the old flippity flop trick, the X is out here now equals the 10 doesn't change spots, but now the tan of 59 is on the bottom. Okay, so that works mathematically. The X is all by itself, so we know that we can just solve this and we're done. So on my calculator, I have to go 10 divided by tan of 59. So I'm going to go 10 divided by, open the bracket, and I want it divided by the tan of 59, whatever that is. Remember, I'm not pressing shift here. I'm not looking for an angle. And you should get 6.008, which if I round is just 6.0. And my unit, I don't have a unit. It just says 10. So sometimes you can just write U for unit because it's not centimeters or meters. Okay, so just remember, when X is on top, you multiply each side by whatever's underneath it. When X is on the bottom, you just flip-flop. Okay? All right. This one's a little bit trickier because I'm saying find the length of the hypotenuse. So I actually am making that my X. But remember, I'm using tan here. So I'm going to set up my tan, first of all. So I know that's always tan of the angle I'm given. The angle I'm given here is 52, which belongs to C. And it's opposite over adjacent always for tan. So let's start plugging in what we know. Tan of angle 52, okay, I know C is actually 52, is opposite over the adjacent side. And the adjacent side is actually this one, right? Because that's the hypotenuse. We don't have a spot in our formula for hypotenuse, okay? So we're looking for this side, this side right here. But tan only helps us find this side. Now, if you recall back to grade 9, if we know this side, if we can figure out what number goes here, we will know two sides in a right triangle. And whenever you know two sides in a right triangle, you can always find the third one by doing the Pythagorean theorem. So this question has a little bit of an extra step to it. Okay, so I'm going to find this here. I'll call this Y because we've already used X here. So the adjacent side to my 52 is Y. Okay, so this is a case of where my letter is on the bottom. And when the letter is on the bottom, we just do the flip-flop trick. So I can put Y out here, the 12 doesn't move, and the tan of 52 slides down low. I literally just switch those two spots. So I want 12 divided by the tan of 52, and that works out to 9.37. We've been rounding to one decimal place, so 9.37 becomes 9.4 units. Okay, but this 9.4 is this side. right? So we still haven't found the hypotenuse yet. So now, if we recall grade 9, we can use the Pythagorean theorem. And remember that C, whatever number goes in the C spot, belongs to the hypotenuse. So we don't know our hypotenuse. It's our X here or our C here. So we're going to leave this as a C. We don't know what it is. But the other two sides, A and B, are my other two known values, which are 9.4 and 12. So 9.4 squared is 88.4. 12 squared, 12 times 12 is 144. And that's going to equal my C squared, my hypotenuse, which is really X. It doesn't matter what you use here. Okay, so now I'm going 88.4 plus 144. And I get 232.4 is what my left side equals. And that equals C squared. But I don't want to know what C squared is. I want to know what just C is, just the side C. Okay, I'll kind of write that here. We're actually finding C here. So what I have to do is I have to square root both sides. So the square root of 232.4 is 15.2. So I just found my hypotenuse to be 15.2, but I had to find the 9.4 in order to do that. Okay, so a bit of a longer question. Okay, last one. We have a little word problem here. A ladder is leaning against a house, the side of a house. The top of the ladder touches the house at a height of 15 feet. So I like drawings. I'm a visual person. Let's draw our house. Okay, chimney and everything. Okay, so there's our house. We have a ladder leaning up against the side of a house. Okay? The top of the ladder touches the house at a height of 15 feet. So right here where it touches the house, we know that that is 15 feet high. And an angle of 36 degrees is formed where the ladder touches the house. So there's where the ladder touches the house. We know that this angle right here is 36 degrees. How far away is the base of the ladder from the house? So here's the base of the ladder. Here's the house. I want to know how far away is the base of the ladder from the house. Okay? Here's my right angle. So if we look at the angle I'm given, I want to find out the opposite side, and I'm given the adjacent side. Opposite and adjacent are the two we have to use for tan. Okay? So the tan of my given angle, so tan of 36 equals, okay, which is opposite the 36, my question mark or my X. And then the adjacent to my 36 is the 15. That's the hypotenuse. We're not worrying about him right now. Okay, so in this case, the 15's on the bottom, the X is on top. This is a scenario where we just multiply both sides by 15 because those cancel. So on your calculator, you go tan of 36, whatever that ends up being, a big decimal, but then we have to multiply it by 15, and we get 10.9 if we round. So X equals 10.9, and the unit we're working with is feet. So the base of the ladder is almost 11 feet away from the house. And there you go. That's how we find missing sides with tan.